Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. This week we are talking, potentially for the final time, about mangaDex, manga piracy, and the service problem of manga in the West. We're also going to cover two cute series to lighten the mood in Shiba Inu Rooms and Akira Momose's First Love Struggles, which was recently renamed Akira Falling in Love by its Western publishers. So we will talk about that and how bad the new name is. All that manga news and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and this week I'm joined again by my constant co-host, Gautam.
Hello, hello.
A special shout out and thanks to our Patreon subscribers, Yachi Black. If you want to have your name read at the top of the episode and see some bonus content, check out patreon.com/WGBmanga. It is only $3 to start. So let's talk about mangaDex. If you aren't aware, something happened about a month ago, actually. Now I think it was May 14th that all this went down, so we're about a month late on this, but mangaDex got a takedown notice for something like 1,800 manga, mostly generally from the large publishers, from Kodansha, Shueisha, etc. Or I'm sorry, 7,000 titles is actually what happened. People noticed that stuff was missing from their mangaDex lists. They, were saying, where is this stuff going? Where is it going? And about a day later, mangaDex came out and had this announcement that I've got on screen right now. On or around May 16th, which is what they say. So we're about a month out here. So to go over just sort of like what happened, takedown request sent by the rights holders. Why didn't you warn us about the takedown request? Unable to provide a warning. That's kind of lawyer stuff, basically. Are there more takedowns? There could potentially be. My content is removed. Can I access it? No, we cannot access content. Blah, blah, blah. Read markers and trackers were gone. So if you use mangaDex as your primary reading thing, you lost what chapter you were on if you were in the middle of reading something. The mangaDex basically just goes on to say, like, we will always comply with any, claims holders asking us to take down their stuff. And then we get this number 9, which says, I read you will provide my data to the highest bidder or rights holder. It says, no, you can read more about how we handle your data and our privacy policy, handle DNCA claims, blah, blah, blah. We will not disclose or volunteer use of personal data unless you have been compelled by a court of law to do so, for example, through something called a subpoena. So,
and all the legal jargon aside, it just sucks, right?
It just sucks because it was like, we've been, I've been sort of reading manga online in this kind of fan scan space for like about 8 years now. Like I started about in 2017, like maybe 2018 more, a little bit before then, right? But yeah, there's scans, man, this is kind of, in my opinion, you can tell me if you agree with me, I think that this is probably the last major scan site that we will see exist. I think from here on out, it is going to be only smaller sites. There's not going to be a single place where you can track and have all of the stuff you're reading. There's not going to be a single sort of, a year or two ago now, a year, maybe 18 months ago, they took down, I had a mobile app called Tachiyomi that I used to use that acted as a sort of aggregator and would keep track of what chapters I was on. That got taken down again like a year ago, so I don't have that functionality there. So yeah, this is kind of, like I mentioned a little bit in the intro, this feels to me like sort of the final blow. Like no one else is going to try to come in and be like, well, mangaDex isn't going to do it, but we'll be the big repository. We'll come in and do that. I don't
see it. I don't see it happening either. It's so expensive to host something like this, and there's like legal risk involved. It's just not worth it for anyone anymore. I think, unfortunately, what it means is that scans will still happen. They'll just be sniped by shitty aggregators, and people will have to use a million different shitty aggregators to read manga that's not officially being published here in the States.
Yeah, or published in other countries is another big thing, is that a lot of that stuff is licensed in the States, but not elsewhere. And so the only place where, if you live in Portugal, if you want to read, whatever, there's nowhere to read it if you don't get a fan scan. And those fan scans are on. I mean, if you've used mangaDex for any amount of time, you'll note that you go to something you want to read and you'll see that it's in 5 different languages. So you have to find the English flag, the American flag to read it in English. So
I can see DMCA's being like relevant and fair in terms of like things that are available in certain countries, but I think unfortunately it's such a wide sweep. You can see in like forums, like people have lost manga that there is no alternative anywhere.
There is no alternative. Yeah, that's a big thing. And so here's people put together a list. I think this is I don't think mangaDex released like an official list, but I'm just going to use this as an example, right? So Pluto is listed here, right? That's something that I read the fan scans of 2 or 3 years ago. We covered it on the podcast, I think, when I read it, at least as like a one more thing. The only way that you can read Pluto in America right now is you have to buy physical copies of the manga. That is the only way. And the price of the physical copies of those manga is a lot, right? I mean, I think it's 8 or 9 volumes, maybe even more than that. Every volume is probably $15 to $20. So you're looking at, $200 to $300 to read Pluto. I read Pluto for free online, and for that reason, I have now like bought a volume. Like, and this is a story that I think you will hear like over and over and over again. Is like I mean, I can look at the manga I have back here, right? I have Gachiakuta, which I first read a fan scan of, and I now own volumes for that. I have a volume of Asadora, which I first read an online scan of that. Like maybe it was an official scan. I read a scan of that. I now own a volume of that. I've got I have Witch Hat Atelier back here. That is absolutely something that started, from a fan scan, and I now own a volume of that. I think that is the real failure of these takedowns, is that these publishers they do not understand the Gabe Newell version, which I'll bring back now, which is, I don't have the quote on screen. I have it in the script here. The big quote that everyone says, which is like, piracy is a service problem. So I want to read the full quote from Gabe Newell, right, who's the owner of Valve and Steam, and right, they, essentially by creating Steam and making it accessible in as many places as possible and having an extremely ease of use platform, like, game pirating is not dead, but game pirating is so much smaller than it was 10 or 15 years ago, right? I mean, Steam now I think is 21 years old, and kind of from about 2004 I think when it launched to 2000 maybe 10 or 12, game piracy was a bigger issue, especially for PC games, right? But Steam has essentially, like, people don't pirate games anymore. People wait for sales on Steam because it's convenient and cheap and easy to get to. So yeah, let me read this quote from Gabe Newell here. He says, "We think there is a fundamental misconception about piracy. Piracy is almost always a service problem and not a pricing problem," he said. "If a pirate offers a product anywhere in the world 24/7, purchasable from the convenience of your personal computer, and the legal provider says the product is region locked, will come to your country 3 months after the US release and can only be purchased at a brick and mortar store, the pirate service is more valuable." And that is 120% true also for manga. If you tell me that a pirate is offering a product anywhere in the world 24/7, purchasable, or in this case, just viewable, from the convenience of your personal computer or cell phone, right? He said this quote years and years ago before phones were as big of a thing. And the legal provider, right? If these actual Japanese publishers say the product is region locked, which is a huge issue, not necessarily for America, but for lots of other countries, is going to come to your country 3 months after US release, that's something that I complain about constantly, where a new series comes out, it gets fan translated, we think, wow, this is awesome, and you go, okay, it gets licensed, and the license is like 15 months later we're going to get a physical copy of it. Like, that's insane. Like, it shouldn't take that long. Right? Like, I want to read it now. It's being published now. I want to read it week to week. It shouldn't take 15 months for me to get volume 1 of it, right? And the last part of the quote says, yeah, it can only be purchased at a brick and mortar store. The pirate service is more valuable. Again, this is that thing. If the only way that I can get a manga is to walk into a store and buy a physical copy of it, which again has a price related to it I can speak only really to the USA, but my guess is that it's true in other places in the world. In the USA, a volume of manga costs like something like 4 to 5 times as much as a volume of manga would cost in Japan. So it is not a one-to-one comparison of, oh, I'll just wait for the volume to read One Piece, because a volume of One Piece costs $3 or $4 in Japan, and it costs $17 in America. And that is a massive difference in price.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So I made like a bunch of notes. Here's more from Gabe that I think is also relevant. He says, added Newell. The point was, the people who are telling you that Russians pirate everything are the people who wait 6 months to localize their product into Russia. So that, as far as we're concerned, is asked and answered. It doesn't take much in terms of providing a better service to make pirates a non-issue. Hello, Japanese publishers. If you are listening to this, it doesn't take much in terms of providing a better service to make pirates a non-issue. Gautam, what do you think this means in the manga space?
It means that people just need to have something that's accessible and they're willing to pay money for it.
Yes. And so, I mean, the thing is, it isn't like no manga publishers do this, because Viz and Manga Plus are easily accessible. One, they are cheap. I think it is, if you want access to all of Viz's records, I think it's $4 or $7 for everything, right? Like one of them is only Shonen Jump and the other one is everything. And then Manga Plus is the same. I think Manga Plus is $2.99 a month. You get access to every single thing they have. I can read all of Sakamoto Days. I can read the complete history of Akane Banashi. I can read, I think, all of One Piece for $3 a month for a subscription service for $3 a month. And I pay for those, like, because that is worth it. I want to encourage good actions by things like that. Now, let me compare, like, let's say I wanted to read something that I talk about quite a lot, which is very good, which I will plug again here. What if I wanted to read Daemons of the Shadow Realm? That is published by Square Enix. That is on, I believe, Manga Up. Yes, here it is. So how much, if I wanted to read Daemons of the Shadow Realm, what does it cost me? Well, first of all, they've split the first chapter into 4 different parts. That sucks. That's a bad service. Yeah, the second chapter is in 3 parts, and then I think every chapter from then on is in 2 parts. So instead of making me pay once, I have to pay every single time. If I want to read, a chapter, it costs me, what is this? I'm trying to see how much. 80 XP, which you get some XP every day, so you can read some things for free, but not everything. I think it ends up costing something like 80 cents or $1 per half chapter to read Demons of the Shadow Realm when it comes out, or you have to wait a week. Again, this is the 3 months late in Russia problem. Like, the real problem here is that I don't think anyone would have no one has a problem, in my opinion, with One Piece asking people to take scans down, right? Because One Piece is easy to read on Sundays. Like, I get that's one of those things that, yeah, everyone wants to read early. It's the biggest thing, but like, no one would have a problem with someone requesting a takedown of a fan scan of Kagurabachi, right? Like, it's easy to read Kagurabachi. It's free on the day it comes out, and for 3 weeks afterwards, it's available, on a very easy website to read. You know when it's coming out, you know where it is. It's a high quality scan. It's a high quality translation. The service provided to read things from Shueisha, right? Shonen Jump, Jump Plus. That service works incredibly well, and no one would have an issue with a takedown request on those. The takedown request on things like Demons of the Shadow Realm, or Witch Hat Atelier, which is another one that is hard to read, or a lot of these Kodansha titles, which are bad. Like those, it's so frustrating because it is just a service problem, and instead of getting better services, we get takedown requests every year or 15 months that makes the experience worse for everyone in the world.
Okay, pass this speaking stick to me real quick.
Yes, go for it. That was what the pause was for.
Okay, good. Yeah, essentially the only other thing I have to add to that is that this is just good marketing that's being thrown away. If you've seen people hype up shows for other people and things getting huge in the first place, just look at Freyren, for example.
Oh yeah,
it wouldn't be here to this capacity without the marketing it's received, and the word of mouth before the anime even came out. I think you start seeing stuff like that go downhill a little bit, but not really our problem. Scans will always exist. That's an inevitability because people will always want stuff free. Um, and hopefully the scans exist for these smaller projects. I think that's the more important part.
Yeah,
But,
well, and that's potentially a problem of the scarier it is because you think you might get a takedown request. Are you going to go out of your way to scan something that's weird and niche and hard? Maybe it's long, but yeah, you'll do stuff from Kodansha or the big people because it'll be popular. But Fryron was in, I don't even know what magazine. I think it's in the monthly Kodansha or something. But
yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. I think it's a net negative. But the out of touch execs at top, of course, don't see it that way. They see it as pirating, and it is pirating. But for what it's worth, why do you care about pirating if you're not making money from a product you're putting out anyway? I don't know. I'll never know.
I mean, it's incredibly short sighted. I wrote. Where's the other thing I wrote? Yeah, basically what you said, right? Like, these takedowns and the various takedowns, especially over the past 3 to 5 years, the big ones I'm thinking of that have really affected like my personal reading, I think a lot of people's, is this mangaDex one is pretty massive. Before then, there was Tachiyomi takedown, which I had a lot of stuff on my phone done through Tachiyomi, and before then, our manga got a takedown request, and that again was a sort of our manga was a sort of third-party aggregator, right? Like, it didn't host the scans, it linked to them externally, but it was the place where you went to go, oh, there's a new chapter of this, it's linked, and all the discussions happen there, right? I mean, stuff like Kaguya-sama was not, that was fan translated for 2 or 3 years before I think we started getting officials for it. And that, like, the discussions on that 5 years ago, 6 years ago were huge, insane. Like, thousands upon thousands of people engaged in that. If you go to our manga now, it's a fucking graveyard, like, in my opinion, compared to what it used to be. Like, there are still, 1.5 million subscribers or whatever. Like, I don't know how many people now. No, 4.7 million subscribers. And it's a graveyard compared to 3 or 4 years ago when it used to have 2 million subscribers. Like, the discussions are worse. The experience is worse. And that's part of the communal part of reading. The communal part of art is a huge part of the experience. Like, wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
The water cooler talk, right? And places where you can have water cooler talk about series help to exist to encourage people to read and buy and be a part of a fandom, etc. And so taking those down, I think, is highly negative for the manga space in general. It just sucks. Like, it just sucks because it's a service problem, and there's no service for so many of these manga in so many places in the world, and I don't know. It's incredibly frustrating, and I hope eventually that they will realize, just copy what Shueisha's doing. Copy what Shonen Jump and Jump Plus do. Just copy they'll make so much more money. Charging me $1 to read, charging me $1 and splitting a chapter in half on Manga Up does not mean that I'm going to go and pay $2 to read 2 halves of that chapter. It means that I'm going to go pirate it. Like, that's exactly the service problem. And they don't realize that if they just let me pay them $3 a month, I would. And I would have been giving them $3 a month for years now. Like, they would have made more money from me by doing that. And for some reason, they cannot figure that out. It's exasperating.
And, I don't even think they're making, like, too much money off of that $1 a month subscription. It's more so marketing. It's just having control of marketing their Prime series. And those people go on to love the series and buy, like, the merchandising where they make all their money.
I mean, that's exactly my, my point of, there's 3 or more series behind me on my manga shelf that I read a pirated version of it and liked it enough that I spent money, and Kodansha or whoever now has my money because I read a pirated version of it. And that's always been, like, no one in the West would be a fan of Evangelion if we didn't have pirated versions in the early 2000s. Like, that's just the truth. Like, it would not be as big a phenomenon if it didn't exist as a sort of art phenomenon. It's the same idea as, if you know the way sort of like music money making, I guess, works, is most artists don't make much money selling CDs, quote unquote, 20 years ago, or streams in today's, right? They don't make money off streams. They make money off tours. So ideally, right, like, they don't make money off of releasing an album. Anyone can go listen to that album. The idea is that you want people to like your music to come see you live, where the tickets are $40, and they make money off that. Like, it's basically the same thing for manga, right? You want everyone possible to read your manga, to be a big enough fan to go and buy merchandise or volumes. And this acts directly in countenance to that, like opposite of that. And so it feels stupid and frustrating, and it's one of those things that Japan is just behind the times on. Yeah, even the streaming services noted it, right? Like I don't know about you, but like 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago, I pirated a ton of movies because it was way easier, because there was no one place where all this stuff was. And there was a lot of stuff where you couldn't get it, right? Like, I'm not going to go buy a DVD of, whatever movie came out last year that I wanted to watch. I just go and pirate and watch it. But now, everything exists on a streaming service somewhere, and it's pretty easy, even if you just want to rent it for $3, to go and do that. And I do that now, right? I have not really pirated movies in the last 5 or 6 years, because it's pretty easy to just go to a streaming service and, I want to watch 3 or 4 movies. I'll pay for 1 month of Disney Plus. It's $15, and I'll watch everything I want, and I'll cancel it. And that's much easier than going and pirating a movie. And higher quality, and they have control of it. And yeah, it's a service problem. I don't know.
Agreed.
It is frustrating, and every time we talk about this, because we talked about this a year and a half ago, I think last January too, which I think was maybe the Reddit big takedown, or maybe it was a Tachiomi one. I don't remember, but I keep hoping that they will figure it out, and figure out that they should, if they provide an incredible, a good service for a subscription price around the world, they're gonna. It isn't even like, it's gonna be better, but like, they will make more money. Like, you tell them to their face, you will make more money doing this, and they just don't listen. And it's just, yeah. I got some Reddit comments here that I thought were pretty funny that basically just echo the kind of things we're saying, where, several of these are just not anywhere else. The fuck? Like, again, these manga don't exist if they were not pirated. Support the official release, yet it's 5 times the price, or not available. Again, Western, or at least American volumes cost too much, or cost way more than the Japanese volumes, which I think the Japanese publishers often don't realize. 99% of manga I own are from series I started or fully read illegally. Sorry for not wanting to gamble if a product is worth it or not. I think this is a good take too, that's maybe a little different. It's like, I don't want to spend $20 on volume 1 of something if I don't know if I'm going to like it. Let me read it first, and then I'll know I want to own it. So, paid options for currently releasing manga online completely suck. Like, I'd be willing to pay if they made a good system. Again, mangaDex is doing it better for free, and people are not in the US. They don't have the option for these paid options. So, yeah. If the material can be bought in my country, again, not available in every country, and then what's the point of mangaDex? Again, I think it's pretty much over. Like, some stuff will be there, some new stuff will pop up there. My guess is they're going to get one of these DMCA things. Some new big thing will take off, and mangaDex will be the main host of it, and it'll get DMCA'd and published in the West, potentially, maybe. Yeah. This site is the reason their series even got fans in the first place. Yep. It's just, we do this, and we talk about it once a year, and it is yelling at a brick wall. To learn Japanese, go to Japan, put on a suit, and tell these guys in the boardrooms how to make money. They do not understand. I don't know. Anything else to say, to add?
Nah, it's all been said.
Yeah, it will be said again. Something else will happen. They'll take down Bato or one of these other sites that hosts a bunch of stuff. Manga, all these sites just are manga and something at the end. There was Manga Fox, Manga. What are some of them? It's Manga Fire. What else we got?
I'm sure there's a bunch of aggregates that I don't know the name of.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bato's the big one now, I guess. But yeah,
let's move on to our manga.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take a more positive thing. So this is Shiba Inu Rooms, chapter 28 by Esu Omori. This is the second part of a 2-parter, but Gotcha, were you able to sort of catch up and read this one?
No, I only read the first chapter of this, so okay. Yeah, why don't you go and tell me about it?
I think this is simultaneously one of the funniest and also potentially the most emotionally mature manga I have ever read in my entire life. So if you read the first part of this, you'll kind of understand here, but
I've only read the first chapter of this series.
Oh, the first chapter. Gotcha. So basically, this guy is Itetsu, He lives in the same building with Corey, the kind of main character girl. Everyone in the building has some version of ghost Shiba Inus who talk to them and provide emotional growth and etc. to them. Itetsu's, I think this is his younger brother or his younger cousin. I don't remember. Yeah, so at the end of the chapter before this, they find a sort of note in this kid's bag. And Corey is concerned about it. So that's kind of where we pick up here. And Mu, who is the greatest facial expression character in manga ever, the kid wants to be a dentist, so he was doing like dentist play with him and cleaned his teeth. So that's why I got a full mouth implant. Yeah, but the big thing here is the note that she found basically was like a coded letter that basically says to the kid, like, you suck, you get lost. Like, it's like being bullied, right? He's being bullied.
Got it.
Yeah, so and this is like the emotional maturity of the series here, because Itetsu is like, what kind of grown man can't do basic math or help his nephew with his problems? Yeah, so he's like, hey, but you can make bread. It's like, gross bread. It's like, the batch you made yesterday was okay. He's like, Corey said it was fine. It's like, really? I found that much better? Yeah, yep, totally average. And again, it's like a really, really funny series in general for stuff like this. And the facial expressions, I don't know, I love the series. And so they're like talking to this kid about like being bullied, right? Which this is like a topic, I guess, that shows up a bunch. But I don't know, the way they address it is really good. It's like, because Corey also was basically bullied out of her school and moved schools into this place. That was kind of chapter 1. She got bullied because she's very sort of like, I'm not afraid of ghosts, and I'm kind of very stoic, I guess, and like plain-faced. And she kind of like, she relates to this kid as like, I left my last school because I was being bullied there. It's like nothing violent, but there's a lot of subtle bullying. They'd forget to invite me to every class organized event. Whenever I said hi to anyone, they'd pretend they didn't hear. It's like, and yeah, I get anonymous notes in code too. You're gross. I didn't know how to talk to my parents or teachers about it. Because what I feared even more was them finding out that everyone hated me, right? There's this added stressor and complexity of, you don't want your parents, you don't want your parents to know that everyone at school hates you and like doesn't like you. Like that's that.
Yeah, because it's like another layer of stress. What are they going to do about it?
Exactly, right?
If they do something about it, it'll just make things worse. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so Corey goes into exactly that. It's like, whenever they asked me how school was, I had two choices. I could either lie or push them away so they'd leave me alone, and doing either made me feel like a terrible kid. So I always hoped that they wouldn't ask. But at the same time, I desperately wanted someone to notice what was happening, so even my own feelings didn't make much sense, right? It's like, you want someone to be like, hey, you're being bullied. Let me help you, or let me tell them to stop, or whatever. And then Corey says, which is why I may not have known exactly why you had that coded note, but I was pretty sure the reason wasn't a happy one. And I just want you to know that someone, like, this is like, I want you to know that someone has noticed. Like, I see you, like, being bullied. And then the kid has this, like, victim complex of, like, I kind of deserved it. It's like, I made a big deal about how I studied for a test, and then I got a perfect score. It's like, so there's a reason I'm being bullied, right? I deserve to be bullied. And she's like, don't do that. Stop. It's like, don't you make justifications for their bullying. Like, whatever the reason is, what they use to justify being mean, that doesn't make it a reason for you to endure it. Like, again, this is just like plain text, emotionally mature bullying between an older kid and a younger kid. It's just really great. Like, yeah, and he's talking about his mom here, where it's just like, I don't want my mom to be sad that I'm being bullied. I want her to smile. And she's like, I know, I really do. And this is something that's a little bit more Japan specific, but it's basically, the recommendation is like, you could just go to a different school and you wouldn't come with those baggage, and they would see you for being a really smart and cool kid. Which is, less of a thing we can do over here in the West. But in Japan, there's, it's a densely populated place. You can go to school somewhere else, take a train. It's not that big a deal. And then, we get like, I don't know, just like incredibly mature stuff from Mu here, who's just like, puts his hand, is just like, if it hurts, like, raise your left hand. He's like, if I did that, like, would you be able to help me? He's like, don't worry. He says, there was something about periodontist because he was doing dentist stuff, and so Mu says, like, don't worry, I'm a master periodontist, with a good face. So, yeah, and then Itetsu here is just like, I could not have handled that myself, because again, this is one of those things. It's like someone who was bullied and found sort of a way out of it, helping someone else who is being bullied, and it couldn't, like, literally, this Itetsu guy could not have helped him in the same way.
Right.
So the next day, the parents show up, and I like this because like he raises his left hand, like the dog tells him to, and he's like, "I'm not," he tells his parents like, "I'm not really the superstar of the class. Like, school's not going great. I don't want to go back." And again, there's like more emotional maturity where you would think like, "Oh, are the parents not going to get it?" She's like, the dad's like, "Don't tell me you're being bullied," and the mom like immediately stops him, like drops her knees, and is like, "Thank you for telling us. We love you very much." And I'm like, where like. Just you do not get emotionally mature manga like this very often. Like so much there are these stupid complexities introduced, or there's like, oh, the parents don't get it, it's even worse. But in this, it's just like everyone around him gets that this is a child being bullied, and everyone understands how bad that is, and how how simple it is to fix it with just make sure he understands that we still love him and all that. And just like, yeah, when we get home, you, me, and Daddy are gonna have a family meeting about this. I know with all our combined smarts and wisdom, we'll come up with a really good plan. Yeah, everything's gonna be okay, and yeah, and then, again, and there's comedy woven throughout this of like, hey, aren't you forgetting the uncle? It's like, yet a whole other person's worth of smarts and wisdom. It's like, if you had any wisdom, you'd have kept your mouth shut.
Oh, that's his uncle.
Yeah, but he's the guy who kind of who we have met before, and we know a little
right.
Better,
he's a neighbor, right?
Yeah. So, and it doesn't just end there with like, okay, wow, they resolved it, because again, Corey is someone who has sort of been bullied in the same way in the past, and her parents I don't think they know about it. Like, right? Like she kind of moved out and wanted to do this, but she didn't really tell her parents yet. So, yeah, she says, I was never able to tell my parents I was getting bullied. The reason I gave them for wanting to change schools was a vague, I don't fit in. She's like, pathetic, right? I'm the one who's nearly an adult. And so Moo says, it sounds like you need to get yourself buttermints too. And then she spends half a page here. It's like, oh gosh, I have to figure out what he actually means. Like something Itich said. She's like, what did he say yesterday? What were you talking about? It's like, about self-betterment? He's like, that's it. Self-betterment. And then Moo, is classic kind of dumb good person, is like, you're incredible. And she's like, okay, I'm going to work on I'm going to get me some more buttermints, work on self-betterment. Yeah, we all need to keep moving forward in our own individual ways. So yeah, I just like this, I don't know, this series blows me out of the water with how funny it is, how cute the dogs are, and how like emotionally mature it is. And this is not the first time it's done something of this quality, in my opinion. We've had a couple of arcs of like letting go of loved ones, because these dogs, if you make them too happy, they like ascend to heaven and are gone from the material world. So yeah, I like cannot recommend this series enough. It is amazing.
That's cool. Yeah, it seems like a sweet story about moving on.
Yeah, well, and it's just like, it's just perfectly woven where it's like there's a little bit of comedy amongst, the serious stuff, and then other chapters are all comedy, and it's just great. Yeah, like I really hope this one is not, canned in the next 6 months, which I'm, afraid everything that isn't a super popular thing does get canned. But man, this one, it's just really, really good. So
yeah, good to hear it's kept up the steam.
Yeah, it's awesome. Cool.
I like that he always looks like a little angry. He's always scowling, even when he's happy.
Yeah, the facial expressions on Moo are like some of the best parts of the whole series. Yeah, the artist author is great. It's awesome. Cool. Anything else there? I think we're good, probably.
Nope.
Let's do it. So let's talk about Akira Momose's First Love Troubles, which got an English, a announcement of an English version. So that series is now called Akira Falling in Love, which, congratulations, Western market. You've picked another bad name for a series that the fan translators picked a better name for.
It's truly an awful name, because it doesn't represent that she's bad at this.
So so there is one, I think that it can work in a way, and here's the thing. So it's called Akira Falling in Love. If you make the title really emphasize the word falling, it works better, right? Because if you think about how clumsy and how much, like, if you do Akira falling in love, that's like a little bit better, and it matches the tone a little bit better. But also, like, it's such a boring.
They should have just called it Akira Failing in Love.
That's even better. There's so many better, yeah. The quite literal translation, I think, is like Akira Momose has troubles with her first love, or something like that, right? Like, so, like, anything like that would have been good. Yeah, another issue with Western publishers from fanscans is they feel compelled to not name it what the fanscans have named it. Or I think oftentimes it is a order from the Japanese market, maybe, to like, don't name it that or name it something else. I mean, Go Go Loser Ranger is the big one I like to point out that fucking sucks, because the Ranger Reject is such a perfect name. And it gets name dropped in the, a couple of months ago in the manga. And you can't name drop Go-Go Loser Ranger in the same place, but you can name drop Ranger Reject there. So yeah,
they are like the Western audience doesn't understand Sentai series and Rangers. It's like we have to make a Power Rangers reference.
They think the only point of reference we have is the original Power Rangers from 1990 because in the theme song they said "Go Power Rangers." That's apparently the only thing they think we know. Yeah,
exactly.
Sad. Anyways, let's talk about this one. This is a good one. My police comedy. Also, okay, does this remind you? This first page especially reminds me. I'm reading this first page in the same voice of like Kaguya-sama's like narrator.
It feels that way. It's like this is a Kaguya-esque series because like both characters like each other, but they're really terrible at this.
Terrible in
for a
different
different
ways.
reason. Yeah, exactly. So the narrator is also like writing the absurdity of every situation that happens. This is definitely more slapstick though, which I also like.
Yeah. Why don't you sort of walk me through this one as I click through?
Yeah, sure. So our main character here he's just picking plants. He's like he's like on a mountain and he's super excited about fiddlehead ferns. And a cop like just comes up on him and is like, "Hey, what are you fucking doing over there?"
Yeah.
Then flash forward a little bit. He's in the back of a police car. The cop is like intimidating the hell out of him. And then he just randomly asks, like, "Is there any girl you have a crush on?"
Yeah.
And he like nervously instantly answers, "Yeah, a classmate." And this guy is just like, he's super innocent and it loves to hear about other people's love stories, aspirationally. So he's like super hyped about this, but is not letting on. And he's like clenching the wheel. So he's also a scary looking dude. So
it's funny that like it is a cute and comfy series because there are no bad guys. Like anyone who you think is a bad guy for like 2 pages like this is like, oh no, he's just obsessed with like adolescent love stories and he's freaking out on the inside and trying to control himself, and that's why he's like so scary.
And it works because it's like, why would there need to be a villain or an antagonist of any kind getting in the way when they are getting in their own way, right? Like
exactly, yep.
Yeah, he's like, I really want to help this guy out, and he gives him advice. It's like, you got to be honest with. He's like giving threatening advice.
If you
like,
ever lie to her, you must be prepared to die.
Yeah, a lot of like life depends on being this way around the girl kind of advice.
Yeah, and he's still being scary, like roar, like he's like he has like the stress little veins sticking out of his head and stuff. And,
and it's like this is like a panel that represents how perfect the couple is together because she is also picking this weird ferns on the mountain. She's like she's jazzed about the ferns too, doing the exact same activity. So, but the cop coincidentally drives by, picks her up too. He picks up both of them. He picks up both of them because there are bears on the mountain apparently.
Yeah.
So her mom apparently she was there because her mom asked her to pick up some edible plants. Does that happen? Like you just go?
I think if you live in certain areas, and maybe the countryside of Japan is like this, I know that if you live in like, there's places in like the northeast of the United States, like Vermont and stuff, where it's like you can go and like pick mushrooms and eat them, if you know which mushrooms to pick, or there's like wild leeks and stuff. Like, unfortunately in Texas, there's not much we can go out and forage, like prickly pears, maybe some places, but other than that, like, this is a thing. Like, you can just go and forage food in certain places. I think Japan's probably pretty good for that. So
yeah, I assume.
Yeah.
I feel like if I picked a plant in Texas, it's like a 50% chance I'll get like food poisoning or something.
Oh yeah, I mean it is dangerous. I would not suggest doing it unless you know exactly what is edible or not.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So they're both picked up. The cop is jazzed because he realizes that this is the girl. The first kid he picked up was talking about.
Yeah.
And he's like, let big bro here lend you a hand.
For some reason, I always love the translation when they use, I know that this is the Japanese word shonen, like they use young boy. It's like, it's such a strange, like, young man, like, let big bro lend you a hand here.
it's very funny that he calls people young man and stuff because he's like 25.
He's like, yeah, not
himself.
that old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This
is funny. They drive by their friends, and it's just like, what did those two do?
Yeah, they're in the back of a cop car. Yeah, they thought they got arrested or something. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Not in this panel. They're just flirting as per normal. He picks like a leaf out of her hair. The cop is like incapable of handling
going to explode. He's like
this situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's like, wow, how romantic. He's like super jazzed about it. But yeah, like a call comes in, a 101 call about suspicious activity on the beach shore. He's insanely like motivated and intense about it. And
yeah. Couldn't withstand the sweet atmosphere.
Yeah, he puts on the siren and fucking speeds over.
I loved this chapter up to this point, and then the twist, I guess it's in like the next page, but he like captures these like mascots.
These town mascots, yeah. But it's like a bizarre situation because the town mascots are like these two shrimp guys in shrimp costumes on the beach. And they were scaring kids when he got there. Like, the kids are, like, terrified running from them.
They look like early chapter One Punch Man bad guys.
Yeah, they really do. Or like, something in like, a Sentai series.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
That combine into a bigger bad guy.
Here's the twist.
Cops instantly, yeah, the cops instantly, he tackles the shrimp, arrests them. And the police chief, 28-year-old, is like, great job, you did it. And
she does an Akira slide also here, which I think is great.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I noticed this and I was like, oh, I gotta put. It's like the Akira slide in manga is so good.
Yeah, so the police chief is giving this dude kudos, and our MC Deku over here is like, those are our two town mascots that you just arrested.
Yeah, they're all they're sobbing. Yeah,
yeah. The police sincerely apologize, and they're like, we have to go find out every single mascot so we don't do this again.
Yeah, I love here because it's like the chief is like, Ichiburi, we're going back to the station, memorizing all the mascots, and she like touches him, and he just like freaks the fuck out and falls over.
I like how the cops are just morons. It's like, they're just like fucking idiots, and our protagonists are right. It's like, so what did they actually come here to do? Like, what was?
Yeah.
Why did they come to the beach?
Yeah, like the guy cop from the rest of the chapter, like he gets touched by his police chief who he clearly has a crush on. He's like, Senpai physical contact is he like can't like is slurring his words, like can't even face his love head on.
I appreciate that they're just doing shit in. It's like they're not really even super dialed into crime. They're just like into the like role play aspect of being cops, because they showed up at the beach and they arrested those two guys like erroneously, and then they just leave.
It's very
and then they got another 101 because a bear was sighted in the mountains, and she's like very much action movie cop coded in that she's like rushing and she's sliding over the car hood.
Yeah, and she like he's like asking her on a date, like, would you like to go with the aquarium? She's like, 101 bear coming. He's like, let's go right now.
Yeah.
And then I like the little final quote. It's like, does this town only have this kind of police officer?
Yeah.
Like, it's great.
Like, I think that they only have like Die Hard-esque police officers.
Well, and the love obsessed. They're like, it is I think maybe we've mentioned it on this series or some other series, but series are great when everyone is stupid in a different way, and that's like what this chapter was like. Everyone is stupid in a different way, and it's great.
Exactly. They're all weird. They're all strange people in their own weird little ways.
Yeah, they're all different weirdos, which is exactly what like Kaguya was, and in other series. So that's why this one is reminding me a lot, kind of more and more of Kaguya. It's different in that it isn't quite as, it's more week to week different stuff, is less cohesive, but it's a lot of the humor of it reminds me of that.
And it's I like the police inefficiency here, because it is the guy was up in the mountains because a bear was sighted in the mountains. He picked up these two kids, drove them to the beach to deal with a a situation at the beach. He arrested the wrong people, and then he got a call to go back to the mountains because a bear was sighted in the mountains, and then they're going back, and they got no crimes solved, or they haven't really done anything today, really.
They did. They provided a little fun date for Akira and Deku. So that's true. That is the positive, true. I think. But yeah.
Yeah. I just appreciate it's like this is the town's kind of police officers. No crimes are solved, and there are really no crimes in the first place. It's just this is all just cop role play, I guess.
Well, and it makes sense to me in that all of the other people we've met in the town have other similar, stupid, weird quirks with them. So it's definitely like, oh, I think if we meet like the person who runs the convenience store, they're going to be a different type of weirdo. And if you meet, the mayor of the town, they're going to be a different type of weirdo. Like I'm getting the idea as more and more chapters of this come out that it's like, there are not going to be any normal people in this series. And I think that makes it fun.
I appreciate that too. I also like that. I think this is what I liked about Aharen as well, is that Raito ended up being the weirdest guy. Like, he was weirder than Aharen, who was also very weird, right? Like, but his imagination went crazy. And in this series, I like our MC being absolutely just as weird as everyone else. And having kind of Deku levels of super strength, but it's not fully addressed, and he doesn't seem to care about it.
Yeah,
it's all just a bunch of good gags in this series. I think
it's great. This is my favorite. Consistent. One of my favorite new series of the year for sure.
I agree. It's a lot of fun.
I guess maybe it was late last year, but it's a good one.
Yeah, I think it was last year, right?
We didn't get translations of it until this year. It would be the thing, but yeah. Cool. Anything else on Akira falling in love? Cool. Let's go. There is a little bit of news I wanted to cover. Not too much, though. Really just kind of three things. Vinland Saga is ending from the time you hear this podcast the same week in a couple days, which I didn't know that was getting that close to ending. So excited to see how people feel about the end of that series. I have heard nothing but praise for it, and I'm very interested in reading it eventually. I've read chapter 1, I want to say, and it was good. But yeah, I'm hoping that they land the finale. A lot of these, the last, I guess I would say, major popular adult manga ending was probably Attack on Titan, and the ending of that one did not go over so well. So I really hope that this one can stick the landing there.
I don't know. I think unlike Attack on Titan, people have the appropriate expectations of.
I hope so. Well, and I also I don't know much about Vinland Saga, but my understanding is that it's a fairly, I don't want to say straightforward, but its message is one of anti-war, which Attack on Titan also was, but the message of Attack on Titan by the end was more difficult to parse for people who did not have the reading comprehension to do so, and I think that's why a lot of people didn't like it. So I'm hoping that it is straightforward enough of an ending, of an anti-war message, whatever, that people are not confused about what it means. I think that at this point in Vinland Saga, most people are on board with the it's not about badass fighting like it was in the first third or whatever it is. So
he's been in a farm for so long, or had been in a farm for so long. I'm behind, but that I think people understand this is like a post-war story going forward.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Attack on Titan was so mainstream and so action-packed and
it also
twist-filled the whole time that people. People with bad reading comprehension do not understand that it's an anti-war story. And they're just like, whoa, what comes next?
Yeah, and that one, it kind of has the issue of there is war the whole time during the series, basically until the last chapter is sort of the war is over at that point. So it's a lot harder to be like, and the whole thing was about how anti-war and war is bad, and so it's harder to realize that. Whereas this one, I think you're right. I think that like for half the series or more, it has literally been anti-war. So I think it's a bit more clear. But we'll have to see how people feel about that. It's over, so I'll probably give it a read at some point. I like reading completed series, so
I guess it's interesting. It's like a movie about like a veteran with PTSD is like a very easily understood and on the nose depiction of anti-war, right? Because you're seeing the direct effects war has on a person. Whereas like a Saving Private Ryan, I think an audience who some people in an audience can view that and see it as like, whoa, badass, right? Like
or more so like if you've ever seen Thin Red Line, or like that's more war sucks always and is always bad. Like Saving Private Ryan kind of has the heroic angle to it, where it's like, yeah, those guys were heroes for going and saving that dude. Whereas Thin Red Line, it's been a lot of years since I've seen it, but Thin Red Line is basically just like war fucking sucks, like all times. Or what are some of the World War One movies that came out recently too, like 1914? Is that the name of the movie? That one I think was pretty just like war sucks always and is bad. Yeah, I haven't seen them either, but yeah, I do. I think it will be more easily understood. No one seems surprised by this or upset that it's ending, so I think I'm expecting a pretty reasonable response to it, I think.
Yeah, I kind of always assume the worst when it comes to popular things in regards to how people are going to react to it, because people just seem to form expectations in their own brain based on like fan behavior, right? It's like how people are so frenzied over like One Piece power scaling, and
I was gonna bring up One Piece too.
It's like, oh, I can't believe Luffy lost to this guy or got hurt by this guy, or I can't believe Sanji got like KO'd in this fight. It's like don't think about that shit. It's like this is all cartoon bullshit. Yeah. It's like it's what the plot wants at the time is what's going to happen in One Piece. You're like you worrying about you setting up expectations in your own head only to have them dashed. That's your problem. That's not the work's problem.
There's a big problem, and this is side tangent, but there's, especially in the One Piece fandom, where it's like people will develop theories and then assume them to be true, and then develop more theories from them and then assume those to be true. And it's like, what was the one I was reading? I was reading one the other day where it was like, oh, I think I figured out the identity of Emu. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll read it. I'm down for a laugh every once in a while. And it was all of these things were like, well, assuming that, this this queen in the past was this, and assuming blah, 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 and assuming this, that means, and assuming that the possession power that Emu has shown, for 3 chapters, which we don't understand, and we're just making all these assumptions, that means that it's this person. It's like, and everyone in the comments was like, you are assuming so many things that we do not know if they are true. Yeah, and that's the danger of discussion.
And it's like when people were angry at the Gear 4 reveal,
mm-hmm.
It's like but for being too cartoony, it's like you have made this series too serious in your head at some point.
Yeah.
Because to anyone actually just consuming One Piece as like reading it week to week, it's like this dude turned into a balloon in the first chapter, like a human balloon.
Well, and Gear 5, Gear 4 and Gear 5 both had those same reactions of like, this is so cartoony. Why is it like this?
Or Gear 5, sorry, Gear 5 is what I meant. Yeah, exactly. It's like in chapter 2, Luffy jumps up in the air and a bird carries him away, right? It's like, like they defeat the first main bad guy by kicking him in the dick. It's like, this has always been cartoony bullshit.
God,
it's like at some point you just engaged with the fan base too much and got ultra serious about it.
Do you remember? This wasn't even that many years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Do you remember the pushback on? Oh, like Luffy had a tooth knocked out. How is it going to grow back? And he just like drinks milk and it comes back, and people like had a fit about that. Like,
yeah,
I remember that. And I was like, that's the whole story has been like that, guys. Like, why do you care about it now?
Yeah, it's like Luffy just needs to eat shit. He's like Popeye. He gets his power back when he eats. It's like it's all cartoon bullshit. It's like just have fun with it. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
We're skewing exclusive to One Piece, but
yeah. Okay. Next thing on the news. Yeah. Super Psychic Policeman Shoujo ended last week. Not surprised on that one. That one was, I thought, maybe a little bit more popular than some of the other things. But this tells me like Embers is dead. What's the other one? The piano Mozart thing. That's dead. Like those are not. No, that one. It's not PvP. The we only covered chapter 1 of it. It's like the Mozart is resurrected.
Oh,
or is it,
yeah.
Okay, it was bad. Yeah, those were both. And Embers, which I thought like Well, maybe. From what I've heard, its series did not do much better than its chapter 1. So we also have 4.
I thought Embers had a strong premise. I thought the main character was really bad.
Well, and from what I understand, they just moved way too quickly. They didn't develop characters. They just got them into a bunch of soccer matches, maybe. And I didn't keep up with it, but I don't think.
Oh, sorry, I was. That's a soccer one. No, I was thinking of the vampire one.
I don't even remember the vampire one.
The vampire gangster one. With,
yeah. That's a Jump Plus series, but yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, there are last news thing here. So 4 new series starting. One of them comes out the day recording this today, so you can go and read. I think the first one of this. So the one that just came out is called Harukaze Mound by Togo Goto and Matsura Kento. That is I believe that's a baseball series. Harukaze is like spring wind or eastern wind or something. I know kaze is wind. After that, next week we're gonna get Kaidagami by Harakawa Jun. So that's the author of Fabricant 100. I think that's also a sports series. Or maybe that's the one non-sports series. I know that 3 out of the 4 of these series are sports series. Week after that, we get Ekiden Bros by Nono Daiki. I think that's a sports one. And then after that, we are getting a series just called Ping Pong by Katoka Yoshiharu. So Jump, I think, has decided now that they are going to make a big push to try to get a popular sports manga back in the magazine. They have basically not had one since Haikyuu ended in 2021? Maybe 2022. It's been a couple of years. They have not been able to find a true replacement for Haikyuu yet. So that looks like what they are going to try to do. I do not think kids nowadays play or care about sports. So I this feels like a failed venture to me. I think they should be going for more different type of stuff, like Akane Banashi, which is framed like a sports anime or framed like a shonen thing, but it is a different setting and different characters.
Yeah, I don't blame them, because that I could not be less interested. It's
I have maybe it turns out they're good, but my prediction for them is that none of these will be very good. I'm interested to see the Fabricant 100 guys series, because I thought that
me too.
Fabricant 100 was okay to me. It just almost worked, but I had the same issue of I hate that the main character was like a 7-year-old kid. If the main character was even like a 14 or 15-year-old kid, that series would have been way better. I think I had a lot of interesting ideas. The art was pretty interesting. I just did not like the main character being a child, and I did not like the main character at all in it. He was very good at two shoes, but there were lots of good things.
I don't think it's a good fit for Jump either. I think if it's more like if the tone was more like Ghost in the Shell, and it was a Fabricant of the Week type show, that would be more interesting if they could breach darker subject matters.
For sure, yeah. Because they came up against some darker things, but didn't go quite deep enough until the body horror and kind of stuff like that of the replacement stuff. But yeah.
So, it could be a cool series, I think, if it wasn't in Weekly Shonen.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye. Maybe the one that we might cover. I mean, I'll read all these and see if any of them are interesting. But the one from Harukawa Jun we might try to cover on the podcast. But yeah, I think that's it for the news. So let's just do one more thing really quick. I'll start us off. I watched Andor over the last 2 weeks or so. I think it is one of the best television shows I have ever seen in my entire life, and it blew me away that it was this good. I love Star Wars again. I had hated Star Wars after Episode 9 came out. Andor is unimaginably quality. And I think the other thing that really makes it hit home is, I will say right now, if you live in the United States of America, you need to watch Andor now. You need to watch Andor to see the parallels that it draws in the Empire and what rising fascism and implemented fascism looks like. The fact that at 2 or 3 different times during watching this, I could flip to the news and see things happening in Los Angeles in the United States that were happening exactly the same in Andor, and the cops are the Empire and the government is the Empire, is scary and appropriate, and I think makes this show not only a very, very incredibly good show, but very important. And if you aren't in America, pretend it's Nazi Germany, because it's basically the same thing. Or
you could just pretend it's America,
or just pretend it's America right now, or Italy or China, right? There's or Thailand, or not Thailand, Cambodia, right? Like there's a lot of fascist regimes that you could compare this to that if you know the history of probably line up exactly because they all play out very similarly. So yeah, I cannot recommend the show enough. It's 2 seasons, 12 episodes each long. So there's not going to be any more. Is
it over?
It's just 2 seasons and it's over. Yes. And they are,
okay.
So it's not like, you don't have to wait for more. There's not a time investment. That's kind of why I watched it. Cause I was like, oh, it's over. Let me give it a try. Everyone's been talking about it. I think that this ranks for me, if I were to like rank quality television shows for me, I think it's probably like The Wire and then Breaking Bad and then The Sopranos. And then Andor might be 4th after that. Like it might be The Leftovers, which I also think is a very good show, but I think Andor is maybe like the 4th best TV show I have ever seen. Like it's that good. Like this is not just like it's a very good TV show. It is that good.
I feel like we can tangent here off that because I've seen half of the shows you mentioned. I've seen The Sopranos and Breaking Bad. I tried to watch The Leftovers. What a miserable
That is a weird one. Yes, that is a weird show, but that show
seems good.
It has some of the best acting, and it gets weirder as it goes on. And I also think that one of the things that makes it really quality is that I think it has maybe the best finale of any TV show. Like if I were to rank the finales of all those shows, The Leftovers is the top one, and Breaking Bad is probably behind that. And The Wire, I don't remember the finale of The Wire, but The Wire is just a great show. So
I saw like half the first season of Leftovers, and it's just like it's brutal to watch because it's just like hours of people being in grief.
Yes.
But
and the first season is probably the worst season. They're all so different and weird. I don't know. It goes weird places. It's the same guy who did oh god, what is that guy's name? Damon Lindelof, right? So or Lindelof. So he also did the Watchmen TV show Leftovers. He wrote on Lost. I thought that he did Television Works. Yeah, I guess that's mostly what it is. The new Watchmen show, which is also really good.
I gotta check that out too.
It's just one season. I think it's worth watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Andor. But speaking of Andor, right?
Yes.
It's like I'm sure the marketing wise, it helped that these characters were in Rogue One. But what kept me from watching it for so long is that these characters were in Rogue One.
Yeah,
So it's like a marketing double whammy, right? Because
it was very much for me a thing where it's like, okay, is this a good TV show or is this good for a Star Wars TV show? Because like people raved about The Mandalorian, and that show had 2 or 3 strong episodes, and I thought it was pretty garbage from there on out. And people were like, oh, it's so good. The finale of season 2 of The Mandalorian, where spoilers, Luke Skywalker shows up, is pretty fucking badass. Like many of us had been waiting 30 years for that to happen, and the fact that it finally did was very satisfying. I didn't watch past that. Andor is like it is both very important to right now and the history of modern government and society, and also an exceptional show. And it's split up into basically like 4 movies every season. Like every 3 episodes is kind of its own little arc. They all tie together. Acting is great. The writing is phenomenal. Mon Mothma is a Mon Mothma is a character who just like shows up in one scene in I think Return of the Jedi, and she's like the leader of the Resistance. But like her arc of like being a senator and trying to like deal with all this stuff politically, and then having to like escape and be a part of the rebellion, it's just amazing. Like this show is so good. Like I just cannot stress enough how just plain quality the show. If you've never seen a Star Wars show, doesn't matter. You do not need to know that. All you know is it's space fascism, like space imperials.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know, and you'll understand it pretty quickly what's happening. So it's so good.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. It's interesting to hear that there's like a Star Wars thing with nuance.
Directly comparing it to any of the movies, it is more well written. Like I have a particular soft spot for The Empire Strikes Back. I think that is a fantastic movie. Andor's probably like a little bit better than that in reality. Like it's that good. Like it's like the fourth best TV show I have ever seen in my entire life. Like it's that good. I did not, and I thought like, oh yeah, you know, it might be like a good show and I'll watch it, but like no, this is like one of the best TV shows I've ever seen.
I have a weird. I've seen every single Star Wars movie, but I watched them like beginning in like senior year of high school, so I have no nostalgia for them.
Yeah.
Every single Star Wars movie just is like dumb fun in my eyes.
Most of them,
and
yeah.
they got worse when they stopped being fun, when they started taking themselves too seriously. But still try to straddle the line of being a little fun. It's like they did both not too well. Whereas I felt like the original trilogy was like cohesively felt like an adventure.
Yes, the adventure, and especially like Empire and Jedi, like because the first one is very like classic, you know, space fantasy. Like it's literally Arthurian legend, right? It's like, hey, your last name is important. You're the chosen one. Come learn the special power, get the special sword, and beat the bad guy and blow up his castle. Like that's A New Hope. But then after that, it's more adventure, and I don't know. Yeah, this is. I mean, I don't care if you like Star Wars or not. Watch Andor. Like it is not a Star Wars show. It is a drama. It is a political drama series about rebellion in the face of fascism, and it's like exceptionally good. It's just amazing.
Sweet.
Gautam, tell me what you have been doing.
Yeah, as you may or may not know, I'm a huge fan of the Soul series. Ever since I didn't play Demon Souls, but I played Dark Souls 1 to hell and back. But yeah, I played Lies of P. To this point, I found that nobody can capture what FromSoft does except for FromSoft. So Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Sekiro, amazing masterpieces. But everyone tries to replicate them now that they're popular games, but nobody has done it well, except for Lies of P. I played it, and it's like, and Bruce and I were talking about it before this pod. It's like, it's like slightly worse than every FromSoft game, but it is amazing because they are the only ones to capture amazing combat, good level design, interesting world building. It's like they capture everything that makes a FromSoft game kind of magical and like an amazing package into their own game. I think Lies of P is as close as anyone has gotten, and it sounds like a backhanded compliment. It kind of is, but it is just a really, really fun game. I think it's so well done. I'm looking forward to playing the DLC, and I'll be like keeping my eyes on this dev for any like new projects or sequels, because
yeah, for sure,
they clearly know what they're doing, and there's heart put into this game for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I brought This Is My One More Thing when I was playing it and said the same things. So yeah, it's great.
I remember that, and I bounced off of it at the time. I was like, no, it's not for me.
Oh really?
I just hadn't given it enough of a chance. It is for me. It is really good. Yeah,
cool.
So that's my one more thing. I'll report back when I beat this in the DLC.
Yeah, when you beat it, let me know, because you'll have to let me know in the DLC, because I don't think I'm gonna go play that DLC. So
I'm almost there. I have like one boss left.
Nice, cool. All right, everybody. I think that's it. Thank you again for listening or watching. Don't forget to leave us feedback, comments, upvote, thumbs up, all that jazz. Check out Twitter and Patreon, linked in the description. And thank you for being with us yet again this week.
Goodbye.
And don't forget to read more manga.